Welcome back to Decentralized Application Development Crashcasts. I'm Sheila, and as always, I'm here with Victor. Before we dive in, if you're enjoying our podcast, please take a moment to rate us on your favorite podcast platform. It really helps us reach more listeners who are interested in decentralized systems.
Thanks, Sheila. Today we're wrapping up Chapter 1, Understanding Decentralization. We've covered a lot of ground, and this episode will serve as a comprehensive summary of everything we've discussed so far.
Exactly, Victor. But before we get into the summary, I've got a quiz question for our listeners. Here it is. Which of the following is not an example of a decentralized system? A. Bitcoin, B. Email, C. BitTorrent, or D. Wikipedia? Take a moment to think about it, and we'll reveal the answer at the end of the episode.
That's an interesting question, Sheila. It really makes you think about the core characteristics of decentralized systems we've discussed. I'm curious to see how many of our listeners will get it right.
Me too. Now, let's start our summary. Victor, can you remind us what decentralization actually means?
Certainly. Decentralization is a concept where control and decision-making are distributed among multiple participants, rather than concentrated in a single entity. It's like a potluck dinner where everyone brings a dish, as opposed to a restaurant where one chef prepares everything.
That's a great analogy. And what are some key characteristics of decentralized systems that we've discussed?
The main characteristics include resilience, as there's no single point of failure, scalability, since new nodes can be added easily, and censorship resistance, because no single entity can control all the information. Also, decentralized systems often promote transparency and user empowerment.
I remember we talked about different types of decentralization. Could you recap those for our listeners?
Absolutely. We covered three main types: architectural decentralization, which refers to how many physical computers a system consists of; political decentralization, which is about how many individuals or organizations control those computers; and logical decentralization, which considers whether the interface and data structures appear more like a single monolithic object or an amorphous swarm.
That's right. And I think it's important to note that a system doesn't have to be decentralized in all three aspects to be considered decentralized, right?
Correct, Sheila. A system can be decentralized in one aspect and centralized in others. For example, BitTorrent is architecturally decentralized but logically centralized because all participants have the same goal of sharing a specific file.
Now we spent quite some time discussing the differences between centralization and decentralization. What would you say are the key points to remember there?
The main difference lies in the distribution of control. Centralized systems have a single point of control, which can be efficient but also creates a single point of failure. Decentralized systems distribute control, which can increase resilience and censorship resistance, but may sacrifice some efficiency. It's important to remember that it's not always a binary choice. Many real-world systems fall somewhere on a spectrum between fully centralized and fully decentralized.
That's a great point about the spectrum. I think that's something that often gets overlooked. Now, could you give us a quick rundown of some real-world use cases and examples of decentralized systems?
Sure thing. We've got cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, which decentralize financial transactions. There's also decentralized file sharing through BitTorrent, decentralized social media platforms like Mastodon, and decentralized storage solutions like IPFS. Even some traditional systems have decentralized aspects, like the domain name system, DNS, for the Internet.
Those are great examples. Now, I think it's important to address some common misconceptions about decentralization. What are some pitfalls people should be aware of?
One common misconception is that decentralization always leads to better security or privacy. While it can enhance these aspects, it's not a guarantee. Another is that decentralized systems are always more efficient. They often trade off some efficiency for other benefits like resilience. Lastly, people sometimes think decentralization means complete lack of control, but in reality, it's about distributing control rather than eliminating it entirely.
Those are really important points, Victor. As we wrap up, what would you say are the key takeaways from this chapter on understanding decentralization?
I'd say the main takeaways are: Point 1. Decentralization is about distributing control and decision-making. Point 2. It comes in different forms: architectural, political, and logical. 3. Decentralized systems offer benefits like resilience and censorship resistance, but may sacrifice some efficiency. 4. Many real-world systems exist on a spectrum between centralized and decentralized. 5. Decentralization is a powerful concept, but it's not a silver bullet. It has its own challenges and trade-offs.
Excellent summary, Victor. Now let's reveal the answer to our quiz question. The correct answer is D, Wikipedia. While Wikipedia allows many people to contribute content, it still has a centralized structure with administrators who have the final say on content and policies. The other options, Bitcoin, email, and BitTorrent, are all examples of decentralized systems in various ways.
Great question, Sheila. It really highlights how decentralization isn't always clear-cut and can exist in different degrees across different systems.
Absolutely. As we conclude this episode and this chapter, I want to remind our listeners that understanding decentralization is crucial as we move forward in our journey of decentralized application development. In the next chapter, we'll be diving into the fundamentals of P2P networks, which builds on many of the concepts we've covered here.
I'm looking forward to it. And remember, if you found this podcast helpful, please visit crashcasts.com, join our Discord community, or consider supporting us on Patreon. Your support helps us continue creating this content.
Thanks, Victor, and thank you to all our listeners. Until next time, keep exploring the world of decentralization.